A recent data breach has exposed the private information of nearly a third of the American population. Over 100 million people in the United States have been affected. The company that got hacked is called MC2 Data. This is one of these data brokers that provides background check services. And MC2 Data accidentally left 2.2 terabytes of sensitive information open on the internet with no password protection. And the breach is being attributed to a human error. This data broker, MC2 Data, operates background check sites like privaterecords.net, People Search USA. You've seen a ton of these websites, I'm sure. They just compile and store a ton of info about people, including names, emails, IP addresses, properties, legal records, and this sort of thing. And these data brokers play a pretty shadowy role in the modern economy, gathering and compiling and analyzing data from public and private sources. And then the data is used to create detailed profiles on people, which can be sold to anyone. And so these services end up marketed as tools for risk management and decision making for companies if they're thinking of giving a loan or hiring or something like that. But there are massive risks here, especially when the sensitive information ends up not secured properly, as is the case here. This particular breach affected more than 2.3 million clients who use MC2 Data services for background checks. This is like a dream come true for cyber criminals because it just lowers the barrier to getting a ton of personal data, which you can then use to social engineer or do identity theft and other malicious activities. Aras Nazarovas, who's a cybersecurity researcher, pointed out that these types of leaks from background checks are pretty common and said, quote, while background check services keep trying to prevent such cases, they haven't been able to stop such use completely. Such a leak is a gold mine for cyber criminals as it eases access and reduces risk for them, allowing them to misuse these detailed reports more effectively. So what this whole story really brings to light is the need for stronger government regulation of data brokers in the United States. In many other countries, you have stringent privacy protections. The United States doesn't do comprehensive data privacy law. And so it leaves brokers free to just accumulate and monetize these huge amounts of personal info with no oversight. You look at Europe, the EU put in place GDPR, and that gives people much more control over personal data and how it's used. In the US, by contrast, the power of data brokers is unfettered. And so millions are vulnerable when these sorts of breaches happen. In this case, the company responsible, MC2 Data, has since secured the exposed database, but the damage is done, and millions are now at heightened risk. The US must adopt a more proactive regulatory approach to make sure that data brokers can't keep profiting from individuals' data while they don't even secure it properly. And if you value privacy, the lesson is clear. The power of the data brokers is a threat to personal safety, to privacy, and without stronger regulation, it's almost guaranteed that similar breaches are going to happen again. And then millions of Americans will have to bear the consequences of a system that extracts profit from your data and prioritizes that over data protection. One of our sponsors today is Incogni. Data brokers are continually collecting extensive details about your online behavior, address, phone number, email, financial information, even political views. This sensitive information about you can easily be found on public data search sites by anybody, could be an ex, could be an employer. And these brokers sell the data to other businesses and even government agencies like the FBI and NSA, who can buy it in bulk to surveil Americans without a search warrant. Scammers and spammers also get your details from these lists, and that's why you get the text messages and the calls and the emails. But you can stop it. Our sponsor, Incogni, will send removal requests to data brokers who are legally obligated to comply. If any of your information remains online, Incogni will follow up and ensure that it's taken down. Incogni keeps you informed every step of the way, and it just saves you countless hours of work that would be nearly impossible to do on your own. I use Incogni, and what they've managed to do is remarkable. Go to incogni.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman for 60% off. The link is below.